In this video, I'm going to show you the relationship between the gas and the clutch when you're moving away. I've had some comments on my channel lately about whether or not you should add more gas when you want to speed up or lift the clutch up higher when you want to speed up. This video is all about that. You need to understand that how quickly you move away is determined by your clutch mostly, and your gas, but it's mostly the clutch. If you lift the clutch to the very beginning of the bite point, the car will accelerate, but slowly. If you lift the clutch higher into the bite point, it will accelerate, but it will accelerate at a quicker rate. The higher you hold the clutch, the faster your car will accelerate. Holding the clutch does not keep the car at a steady speed when you're moving away. It will accelerate. And I've said that a few times, but it's really important to understand that when you're on the bite point, the car will automatically accelerate to your gas. The more gas you give, the longer your acceleration will continue. Here's an example. Let's say I gave 5% gas and I brought the clutch up to the bite point. The car will accelerate up to, say, 15 miles an hour. And then it will stop accelerating because it's reached the amount of power or speed you're asking for. It doesn't get there straight away. Cars don't work like that. You don't go 15% gas and suddenly you're doing 50% of the speed the car can handle. It makes its way to that speed gradually. If I was to go 20% gas and lift the clutch to the bite point, the car would still accelerate. How quickly it accelerates is determined by how high I hold the clutch. But instead of stopping at around 15 miles an hour with 20% gas, it may stop accelerating at maybe 20 or 25 miles an hour. Does that make sense? I'm going to try and give you a demonstration now. I'm going to move away. I'm going to set the gas to about 1,500 RPM. Then I'll lift the clutch to the bite point and I'm going to keep my gas steady. I'm not going to add gas or take gas off. I'm just going to see how fast it will accelerate to until it stops accelerating. So clutch down, first gear, handbrake off, a little bit of gas. Let's try and get as close to 1,500 or 1,500 RPM as I can. It's about right there, it's just over, but that would do. I'm going to try and not move my right foot now at all. It's going to be quite tricky. Lifting the clutch to the bite point and holding it steady on the bite point, and the car starting to accelerate. I'm not moving my right foot at all. I'm holding it steady and it's rising. Well, it's risen up to about 7 miles an hour. So about 1,500 RPM accelerated me to 7 miles an hour. If I want to go faster now, I'll add more gas. This time I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to have 2,000 RPM instead. And I'm going to see how fast that will go. So clutch down, first gear, handbrake off. Let's try and get it to 2,000. There we are. Now I'm coming, lift the clutch to the bite point, trying to keep my foot so still. It's very hard to keep my gas that still. The clutch feels like it's finished now, and you can normally tell that because the revs start building a little bit again. And trying to keep it really steady. It's accelerating gradually, very slowly, and it seems to be getting to about 10 miles an hour and not going any faster. Next thing I'm going to do is try and show you how to increase your acceleration once you start moving away. Let's say you've started moving away and you think, I'm moving away a bit slowly, I want to move away a little bit more quickly. So from that you can see how much gas I give determines what speed the car will eventually reach. You can change the amount of gas you give during your move away, during your bite point. That will determine how fast the car will eventually get to, but it won't determine how quickly you will accelerate. If you want to accelerate more quickly, you need to hold the clutch higher on the bite point. But there are limits to how high you can hold the clutch before it stalls. I'll get to that one later in the video. Now I'm going to show you how I would accelerate more quickly once I've started accelerating slowly. So I'm going to move away with 1,500 RPM of revs, just there, maybe a little bit lower, there we go. And I'm going to start accelerating. Actually, there is a car coming, I'll let them go first. Okay, they're gone. and it's accelerating really slowly because I'm at the very bottom of the bite point, but it is accelerating 1 mile an hour, 2 miles an hour. But if I want to accelerate a bit more quickly, I lift the clutch a tiny bit more and it accelerates at a quicker rate. But because I only gave 1500 RPM, it's only going to reach 7 or 8 miles an hour roughly. I can't keep the gas exact before it runs out of puff. So if I do that again, a little bit of gas, 1500 RPM, find the bite point, I'm accelerating quite slowly. If I give it a little bit more gas, I can lift the clutch even higher and accelerate a bit more quickly. Because how high you can lift the clutch is also determined by how much gas you have. I hope it's not getting confusing, but essentially the gas determines what speed you'll reach, the clutch determines how quickly you will accelerate. It's a bit more complicated because when you lift the clutch to the bite point with a small amount of gas, you can't lift the clutch very high on the bite point. You can only lift it to the very beginnings of the bite point, or the car will struggle or stall. But if you give a lot of gas, let's say 3000 RPM, your clutch bite point gets a lot longer, literally does. If you give 3000 RPM, you can lift the clutch significantly higher without the car struggling or stalling, enabling you to go more quickly. And you can do that at any point during your move away. You're starting to move away slowly and you think, I want to accelerate more quickly. So what you can do is add more power. That won't currently make you accelerate more quickly. Adding more power just make the engine louder and give you more potential. That's just the first step to accelerating more quickly. Once you've added more power, you can then lift the clutch up higher and then you would accelerate at a faster rate. Don't come off the clutch all the way though, because the car will probably bog down if you lift it too high, or even stall. It's unlikely to stall if you have plenty of gas though. It will more likely bog down a little bit or even wheel spin. So what is bogging down? Well, bogging down is when the engine hasn't got enough power to accelerate you as quickly as you're asking it to. Bringing the clutch up higher means you're asking the car to accelerate more quickly. If you have a lack of gas, you could either stall, and you know what stalling is, or you could bog down because the engine's not strong enough. And a bog down is kind of like you start accelerating and suddenly you go, and then you accelerate, you slow down, then you accelerate again. You can have small amounts of bogging down, which is quite normal in normal driving. Most people do it a tiny bit if they lift the clutch a bit high when they move away and the car sort of just lurches forward a little bit as they set off. Or you can have loads of bogging down where you really do go back, forwards, and then back again. I'm going to try and do a bog down now. So first gear, handbrake off. I'm not going to give too much gas, about 1500 again, and I'm going to lift the clutch too high for the amount of gas I have. So here we go, clutch to the bite point, a bit too high, and I don't know if you noticed that there, the car kind of went, slowed down, and then went again. It was quite a jump or a jerk. Bogging down is more noticeable when you're trying to accelerate quickly, and that's when it's more likely to happen because you're lifting the clutch up more as you want to get going. You're at a busy roundabout and you think, better go now, I can pull out in front of them if I get going quickly. So you lift the clutch even higher, but you're not adding the extra power. So you end up just lurching away without actually accelerating too much until you put the power down. Can't be afraid of giving a little bit of gas. I want to prove a point. I want to prove that the gas does not control the speed when you're moving away. If you bring the clutch to the bite point and hold it steady, you can add more gas. The car won't accelerate more unless you lift the clutch up more. And if you come off the gas, the car won't accelerate less or slow down unless you push the clutch down a bit. I had someone comment on one of my videos recently claiming that they know someone who claims that they use the gas to control their speed when they're using clutch control. They must be confused because it just doesn't work in any car. Let me show you. Clutch down first gear, handbrake off. I'm going to give about 1500 RPM. I'm going to find a small amount of bite points so it accelerates slowly, and I'm going to add gas to see if it accelerates more quickly. Then I'm going to come off the gas to see if it slows down. Let's see what happens. So about 1500 RPM, trying to keep it steady, little bit of bite point, I'm moving away. Add gas, it's not accelerating more quickly. Off gas, it's still accelerating. Add gas, it's not accelerating more quickly. Less gas, it doesn't change it. If I want to go faster, I'll add gas and lift the clutch up higher like I did just then. Something that confuses a lot of people is when to finish coming off the clutch. And I get accused a lot of burning the clutch by holding it on the bite point. Now you see, it's impossible for the clutch to get the wheels up to the engine speed instantly. That's why you have to hold it on the bite point. If you don't hold it on the bite point, you're going to bog down, or if you give loads of gas and come off the clutch completely, you will wheel spin. The only way to move away smoothly is to hold it on the bite point and let the clutch match the wheels to the engine speed gently over time. The engine speed at the moment is currently at 750 RPM. The wheels, which you can't see, we can see it here actually on this dial, is 0 miles an hour. Therefore, I'm not going to be able to lift the clutch and make this car go 7 or 8 miles an hour instantly if I give a bit of gas. It just won't happen. Watch, if I try to do that, all that happens is I actually wheel spun a little bit there. I could try again, I could try coming off the clutch slowly. And there was even then a tiny bit of wheel spin. I'll try and come off the clutch even more slow this time. That time there wasn't wheel spin, but there was a nasty bog down as the car lurched away. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I sort of went forwards and went like that a little bit. This time I'm going to hold the clutch on the bite point and give the clutch a chance to do its job. Now I'm accelerating smoothly. Now the clutch is finished, I can come off the clutch completely, and now the gas takes full control of the speed. I add gas, I speed up. I come off the gas, I slow down. So the clutch is designed to do that, and it won't overheat in the process. It's designed to take those temperatures, and it will last a very long time if you hold it on the bite point to help you set off. It won't last a long time if you hold it on the bite point on a hill or give loads of gas and lift the clutch to the bite point. That is what burns the clutch. It generates too much heat. Hold it on the hill for a long time puts too much heat into it. That's when it starts to wear. When to finish coming off the clutch is a tricky thing to explain on camera. You've got to be in the car and feel it. Quite often the engine pitch will start going up in pitch when it's finished. When the clutch has finished its job, the engine will start going like that. Generally when you're on the bite point and it's doing its job, the engine makes more of a monotone sound if you're steady with the gas. It's kind of a and when it's finished it goes and I did that little because quite often it does that a little bit too. Sometimes it goes down a tiny bit before it goes up. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. If you lift the clutch a bit high, it will go down quite a bit. That's the bog down. That's when you go that's when you're bogging down a little bit. Often when you find the bite point, the revs will go down a little bit anyway. That's how you know you've got the bite point. You hold it there. When they start to go up again, then you can come off it. This is the sound it makes. Up to the bite point. Then you hold it steady. And then when it goes, you come off the clutch. I'll do that again. I'm going to try and do that on camera now. See if this is recording. Let's turn this on and show you. Can you hear this? I'm going to try and make the revs a little bit louder. It's raining quite heavy today, so engine, you'll see the revs change anyway. The revs will go down, then they go back up again. So up to the bite point, the revs drop a bit, they're staying steady, they're staying steady, they're staying steady, and then they drop a tiny bit more. I did bog down a little bit, then they start going up. I didn't move my feet. Now it's finished, I can come off the clutch and my gas takes full control of my speed. As you get more experienced at driving as well, you get better at knowing when to finish coming off the clutch because the car just feels different. The vibrations of the car changes. It takes experience to know that. The more practice you get, the better you will be at determining when the clutch has finished its job. I can do it even when listening to loud music now because I can just feel the car through the steering wheel and through the pedals. I don't even need to hear the engine. And I do get it wrong sometimes if I've got music on. I can do the clutch, I'll come off the clutch a bit early and make the car jump a little bit, but not often. Most of the time I do it quite well. So to move away quickly, plenty of gas and high clutch. The more gas you give, the higher you can bring the clutch up without stalling or bogging down. So I'm going to do a quick start now. As the car gets going, when I think the clutch has finished, I'll add extra gas extra gas just for good measure to make it accelerate even more quickly. I don't want to give too much gas before I get going because I might wheel spin and it also put more strain on the clutch. There's a couple of cars coming now, and to save me saying all that again, I'm going to fast forward this bit until all these cars are gone and I can actually set off. Ready. Now the cars are gone, first gear, handbrake off. Let's get some power. 2,500. Let's make it 3. There we go. Now lift the clutch quite high to the bite point and the revs go down. They rise quite quickly. I'll give it a little bit more power if I want. They go up to 26 miles an hour very quickly. With practice, you can get very good at that. Practicing fast starts takes a long time. You can do it for many times. You do it hundreds, thousands of times and you will still get better at it. It is a fine art. No driving instructor is going to give you a really good quality fast start just like that. If it is just like that, that's more to do with you having talent than your instructor making you good. What you probably noticed about that start is the revs didn't stay steady for very long. They were up at 3. When I got to the bite point, they went down and then they started rising again, and that's because I did a fast start. You will find if you do fast starts, you won't have that phase of the engine staying about the same RPM whilst the wheels gradually pick up speed and catch up. Because you're accelerating so quickly, those wheels pick up speed quite quickly, match the revs, and then suddenly the clutch is finished and you can get going. Now I don't recommend doing that. Giving that many RPM, that many revs and lifting the clutch to the bite point does burn your clutch, but it's how you get your quickest start. I have found that if I want to get my best start in this car, about 3,500 RPM on a dry day, it being a wet day was a bit wasteful. I probably should have kept it slightly below 3. If you want to move quickly without damaging your clutch, it's best to start off with modest revs, say about 2,000 RPM, bring the clutch to the bite point, and as soon as the clutch is finished, get on the power and get accelerating. For a racing start where you want to be off the line as quick as possible without any delay, you don't want to spend a little bit of time going slow and then speed up. You want to be quick off the line as quick as you can without wheel spin. That's when you will sacrifice your clutch just to give you that extra start. I don't normally do that. If I did, my clutches wouldn't last very long. In fact, I do have a car where I do that, and the clutch doesn't last that long in that, but it does get to 60 in 4 seconds, which I quite enjoy. But I just want to reiterate, I'm not telling you how fast you should try and accelerate a car. I'm just showing you how to get a car accelerated quickly. If you want to accelerate at a more modest rate, give less revs and don't lift the clutch as high. But the more gas you give, the higher you can lift the clutch without bogging down or stalling. However, then you run into another problem. If you lift the clutch too high, you do get wheel spin. And if you're getting wheel spin, you're definitely pushing your car too hard and trying to drive it beyond its limits. Just to round up this video, I'm going to do another move away. It's a more normal move away. It's not a very fast one, but it's not a very slow one. Just so you can see exactly how I do it, and I'll tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Hopefully nothing blows in front of me. It's very windy today. We've got like yet another storm, which we keep getting at the moment, and things are blowing about all over the place. When this car's gone, I'll show you. I may fast forward now. Okay, no one coming. So I'll give about 1,500 RPM to the bite point. The car starts moving away. As the clutch finishes, I add a little bit of extra gas when I come off the clutch, just so I can accelerate a little bit faster. The clutch was done, so that's why I came off that. I wanted to accelerate more, so I put my foot down more. Maybe I'll give you just another one. This is how I will increase my acceleration once I start moving away. Bit of gas, bit of bite point. Oh, it's going a bit slow. Bit more gas, bit more bite point. Oh, now it's accelerating a bit quicker. Clutch sounds like it's done now. Off the clutch. I'm ready to change gear. Overdue a gear change actually. Went a little bit fast there in gear 1. If you're practicing without an instructor, make sure you have insurance. Get £20 off via the link in the description to Collingwood, who provides specialist learner insurance that allows you to practice in a friend or family member's car without risking their no claims bonus. If you want to insure your own car, click on the link to confused.com. I have found that they have the widest selection of cheap insurers for young drivers. I hope that helps you understand the gas and the clutch and how they're related and how your actions affect the car. If you think it does, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to get my future videos. Until the next one, Cheerio.